What's up, everybody? Here once again with Joe Grinless, aka Panda, talking Week 6 betting lines and prop bets. And I think we're finally starting to find the right formula here. Your picks, my prop bets,
Yeah,
winning way to
that's
go, right?
that's the way to go. I only had one pick wrong last week. Then that was the Chiefs, and they did screw me on a few parlays, but yeah,
Yeah, it seems like the games we disagree on, you tend to be right. The prop bets, I'll give myself a slight pat on the back for those. I've been
oh,
hot with that
absolutely.
lately. Cooks and Henry Ruggs last week had the big game. So we'll start it off this week. Jets at Miami. You might as well get this one out of the way. A lot of alcohol once again to get through this one. Jets are 9.5 point underdogs in this one. Over under set at 46.5. You look at everything on paper. This should be an easy win for Miami. They haven't been a favorite this big in about 3 years. That's the only reason that I'm a little bit skeptical. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he can always have a Ryan Fitzpatrick kind of game, but they are coming off a big win against the Niners. It seems like that team's headed in the right direction. Fitz is playing well. The Jets completely the opposite direction right now. They just released Le'Veon Bell. You wonder what that locker room is like. Not really a whole lot of guys returning. Becton's still out. Darnold's still out. You're going to get Perriman back, but that's about it. So I'm taking Miami in this one. I think it could be a little bit closer than some people think. But the prop bets I also like. Gesicki scoring a touchdown. Devontae Parker scoring a touchdown. Gesicki's at plus 145. Parker 120. I think that's a nice revenge game against Adam Gase for those guys. You also want to throw in Parker over 60.5 yards and Gesicki over 40.5. You combine all four of those on the same game parlay on FanDuel, you can get 13-1 odds. So I kind of like that.
I like Miami as well. I like the -9.5. I also bought them down in one of my parlays to -5.5, just in case. But I think this is a 10 to 14 point win for Miami. I have them -9.5. I also have Devontae Parker to score a touchdown. I also like Devontae Parker to score 2 touchdowns plus 600. I don't think that's a bad bet. I put that one in right away. And same with you. I have a same game parlay on FanDuel. Devontae Parker to score a touchdown. Fitz Magic over 262.5 receiving throwing yards, not receiving yards. Parker over
Shocking with our
60 and a half
secondary if you did
receiving
that.
yards. Parker over 60.5 receiving yards. Preston Williams over 39.5 receiving yards. And the Dolphins money line.
Solid bet. All right, next up, we got Falcons +4 at Minnesota. Over under set at 54.5. This should be a high scoring game. Falcons coming off the firing of Dan Quinn. Maybe they get a boost like the Texans did last week, but I still think their defense is a mess. Matt Ryan, he does not look good. Julio, he should be back for this one. But Minnesota, they've been playing somewhat better. Adam Thielen, I like him scoring a touchdown on this one, -110, as my favorite bet. But I also like Jefferson scoring as well at plus 105. I think this is probably a shootout. It could go either way, but I'm leaning Minnesota. But I'm probably going to stick with the prop bets, especially Thielen.
Yeah, I'm not really sure who's going to win this game. You got two crappy teams who just have had injuries and all types of issues. I'm not sure who's going to win, so I'm staying away from it. Right now, it's -4 Minnesota. I'm staying away from that, but I am taking the over. I do love the over. I think this has all the makings of a 35-31
Yep.
aerial assault. Both secondaries in a lot of trouble. And I, too, like Justin Jefferson, I actually got him at plus 130, and I just checked, and right now he is still plus 130 on DraftKings. Justin Jefferson to score a touchdown. He will roast the Atlanta secondary.
Like that, yeah. I was looking on FanDuel. He's at plus 105 there, which is the only thing I like, with doing the same game parlays because you throw in, him, Thielen,
Right.
Minnesota. I was even thinking about doing one with Thielen, Jefferson, Julio, and Ridley, all four of them. You can get a 28-1. I kind of like that if it's going to be a shootout.
It's
Next up,
not bad, more than possible with
yeah,
these two
right.
teams.
Next up, we got Ravens 9.5 at Philly. I'm kind of torn on this one. The prop bets I'm probably staying away from. The Ravens, we kind of talked about this last week. They've got so many weapons, especially in the backfield between Lamar, Ingram, Dobbins, and Edwards, where they can pretty much run it in with anybody. I feel like Mark Andrews probably a safe bet to score a touchdown at plus 120. He's usually their main target, especially in some of these blowout wins. Philly, again, too many injuries, I think, on both sides of the ball. They did play Pittsburgh tough last week, and they beat San Francisco the week prior. So I'd probably buy the Ravens down to 5.5, but I do think the Ravens are going to win. And, yeah, I'd probably go with Mark Andrews on the touchdown plus 120.
I am going with the Ravens all the way, -9.5. Was actually able to get them at -7.5 earlier, and now they are to -9.5, which is crazy. So the money is coming in on Baltimore, and it should. I say it's crazy because it's moved 2 points so quickly, but it really should. Philadelphia is in a lot of trouble. No Alshon Jeffrey, no Deshaun Jackson. That being said, Philadelphia will put up points late, or at least you would hope they would, to keep it somewhat of a competitive game. I still think Baltimore wins by 2 or 3 scores, but I think I like Travis Fulgham plus 300 to score a touchdown for Philadelphia because Carson Wentz doesn't have anyone else to throw the ball to other than Zach Ertz, who has had the worst season of his career. He's getting about 1 or 2 receptions a week. I don't know what's going on with Zach Ertz. He
Can't figure
looks
that out at
slow.
all.
He
Yep.
looks old. It's
Yep.
just it's a total mystery for the Philadelphia offense, especially without Jeffrey and Jackson. So Travis Fulgham plus 300, and like you said, stay away from the Ravens player props because you don't know who's going to score. They have
Yep.
73 different options.
Seriously.
They do.
Uh,
It's
no, you're totally
crazy.
right. All right, next up, we got Bears plus 1.5 at Carolina. I got a feeling we might disagree with this one because, I was on Carolina early in the year, kind of went off them a little bit as they started to win. I'm a huge fan of Matt Rule. You were on them last week. That was a big win for them.
Absolutely.
But this is going to be a tough game. I think this is a bad matchup for them. They got the win over the Falcons, got them to 3-2. They won 3 in a row. They beat the Cardinals and the Chargers in those 2 games. Teddy Bridgewater, Robbie Anderson, that connection's been money as well. But the Bears, number 4 overall defense, number 1 in the red zone. And you look at the Panthers numbers, 6th in yards, 20th in points. So they've been struggling when they get in the red zone. I just think it's a bad matchup on paper. Give me the Bears. I think they're going to win outright. Also, give me Allen Robinson on a touchdown at plus 135.
We differ.
I had a
I
feeling. I had a
I
feeling.
love Carolina. I've been riding Carolina the last few weeks. I'm sticking with Carolina. They've been good to me, and I just don't believe in Chicago. I know they're 4-1. To me, you can make an argument one of the worst 4-1 teams ever. I'm not impressed by them, and maybe I should be. I mean, they did beat Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay is a good team. But they've struggled in all their other games. I will not believe in Chicago until they're actually clinch a playoff spot. I will not bet on them. I refuse. Carolina's at home. I like Carolina. And come on, Robbie Anderson, plus 180 to score, baby. He hasn't scored since week 1. This is the week.
I could definitely get down with the Robbie Anderson bet, but just the way the Bears defense kind of rattled Brady last week, with the 4th down and everything else, I'm
Fourth.
on Chicago this week. So I do like Matt Rule. I do like what he's doing in Carolina, but they've won 3 in a row, haven't beat anybody great. I think this is going to be a tough matchup for them.
Yeah, true. We'll see.
All right. Next up, Bengals plus 7.5 at the Colts, over under 46. Colts coming off a tough loss to the Browns. I do like the Colts to bounce back here. The Bengals were blown out by the Ravens last week, 27-3. I think the Colts defense is going to present some similar challenges. I'll probably buy it down to 5.5 at minus 150 just to play it safe. I also like T.Y. Hilton scoring his first touchdown of the year, plus 175. I'll roll with that. Otherwise, I think it's a fairly low-scoring game, so I'm probably staying away from a lot of the props.
I completely agree with you. I'm staying away from all the props on this one. The Bengals have been up and down all season, and the Colts, same thing. And Phillip Rivers has looked terrible. It might be time for Jacoby Brissett soon. And 3 weeks ago, I would have never thought anyone would have said that. But the way he's looked lately, it's not good. So I'm staying away from this game entirely, except for the Colts on the money line. I also did buy the Colts down to minus 5.5, as you said, in one of my parlays. But other than that, I'm staying from this game entirely. I think the Colts do win. But like you said, low-scoring game, 20-10 type game, staying away from the player props because there's nothing to really like with either of these two teams right now. They're both just not playing good football offensively.
Yep, completely agree. All right, next up, we got Browns plus 3.5 at Pittsburgh, over under at 50.5. I love Pittsburgh all the way here. I've been wrong on Cleveland a number of times this year. But again, the way that Pittsburgh's playing right now, undefeated Browns, I do like what they're doing with Kevin Stefanski, but Baker's a little banged up. Odell was sick during the week, didn't really practice. I'm going to roll with Pittsburgh here. It's a big game for them. Ravens and Browns are both 4-1, so this is the game that can kind of, put them with a comfortable lead in the division. I'll probably even buy it up to 9.5 at plus 200. That's how much I like Pittsburgh in this one. Juju scoring a touchdown at plus 135, 2 touchdowns plus 750. It wouldn't shock me if he had a similar game to Chase Claypool as last week.
I like Cleveland. I've been using them the last couple of weeks. I had them last week over the Colts. I believe I had them the week prior. But this is the week. I agree. This is where it comes to an end. Pittsburgh is going to win this game. I have Pittsburgh minus 3.5. I also have them on the money line. I think Cleveland keeps this a 7-point game, maybe even a 4-point game, but Pittsburgh at home, taking the Steelers all the way. Like you said, Juju Smith-Schuster, over 5.5 receptions, plus 124. I know he's had a down season, but that's pretty damn good odds. I'm personally taking them. And I'm also taking Kareem Hunt over 62.5 rushing yards. Now, I know I said, the Browns are going to lose the game, but like I said, I think it is a 7-point game right around there. And Cleveland does have success on the ground, and I really like Kareem Hunt. So over 62.5 is minus 112 on DraftKings. And that's where I'm going with player props on that one. But game line, Pittsburgh all the way.
Yeah, that's not a bad number, 62.5, especially with Chubb out.
Absolutely.
All right, next up, this is a tough one because it seems easy. Broncos plus 8.5 at New England. I mean, early in the week, I was all over New England. That number was at 9. I'm a little worried as far as why it dropped a half point. Yes, the Broncos are getting back locked, but Gordon's out, Fant's out, Sutton's already on IR. I think this should be an easy win for the Patriots. I trust Belichick coming off the bye week more so than the Broncos. Both didn't play last week. Another game, though, that I do think is going to be low scoring. So I'm probably going to avoid most of the props, although I do like Cam Newton scoring a touchdown at even odds, plus 100. And then I'll go with James White also to score a touchdown at plus 290.
Yeah, I'm staying away from the money line. I think this is a low-scoring game. Drew Lock is back for Denver. Not saying that he is John Elway, but he's a lot better than Brett Rippon and Jeff Driscoll. So I like Denver to keep it a close game. So I'm staying away from this entirely in terms of the spread. I do have New England on the money line, but the odds on that minus 400, not great. But if I only use it in a parlay, not straight up, otherwise it's a waste of my time. And I also like Cam Newton plus 500 to score the first touchdown of the game. I think New England goes down the field, and Super Cam puts it in to tell the world, hey, I'm back and Corona can't get me.
There you go. All right, next up, we got Lions -3 at Jacksonville. Over-under, I think, is kind of high at 54.5. Both teams with only one win entering this one. Lions also coming off their bye week. I just think the Lions are the much better one-win team. I like Stafford over Minshew. Give me the Lions all day here. Marvin Jones, he struggled a lot this year, but I think this is his breakout game, similar to Cooks and Henry Ruggs last week. So Jones scoring a touchdown at plus 170, over 47.5 yards. You could also buy the Lions from 3 to 9.5. You combine all three of those for 10-1 odds on the same game parlay. So that's what I'm rolling with for that game.
I'm with you all the way on that one. I got the Lions -3. I think they're going to win this game by 1 to 2 touchdowns. Jacksonville, they had a great week one in terms of getting lucky. The Colts outgained them by twice the amount of yards. They really had no business winning that game. A couple of horrible throws by Phillip Rivers. What else is new? Otherwise, they would be like our Jets, and they would not have a win. And I don't think they get their second win this Sunday. Lions -3 all the way. And the Jaguars have had a particularly tough time stopping tight ends. And he has had not a great season so far, but he is a good young up-and-coming tight end. TJ Hawkinson for the Lions, over 44.5 receiving yards, -112. I'm all over that.
That's a nice pick. I like that one. All right, next up, I just lost my place. Texans +3.5 at Tennessee. Over under at 53.5. The Ryan Tannehill revenge tour continues. He's been unbelievable, since taking over as starter for Tennessee. Offense, 3 straight games over 30 points this year. Texans coming off the big win last week after the firing of Bill O'Brien. I don't really have a real feel for this one. I do think the Titans are going to win, but I could see it as a close game. So I probably would go with the money line at -210 over the 3.5 spread. Derrick Henry also 2 touchdowns at +220. Usually can't go wrong with that.
Same here. I bought down the spread to 2.5 on the Titans. I also took the money line. I think this is a 3-point game. Divisional games always play tough. Houston, like you said, coming off a win. I think Tennessee is definitely ultimately the better team, and they might even win this game by a touchdown or more. But just to be safe, I bought them down to 2.5 and just took them on the money line. Player prop wise, I'm really staying away from this one. Other than Derrick Henry, I think he will score a touchdown as well.
All right. Washington +3 at the Giants. Giant fans looking forward to this game, I think, as much as Jeff fans are looking forward to their game. Unfortunately, if they want that first pick, this is the game that could derail it. 0-5, but they've been competitive the last 2 weeks. Cowboys and Rams, tough games there. I think the Giants are slightly better, especially with Allen starting for Washington. Give me the Giants money line with this one. Probably going to avoid any of the props because, again, another game I think is just going to be ugly, low scoring, 17-10, 17-13, something like that.
I agree. I took the Giants on the money line on this one, also at -2.5. They are up to 3 now, but luckily I was able to get them at 2.5 and the money line. And I have a player prop parlay on this one on FanDuel, which I know you'll appreciate. I have Antonio Gibson, anytime touchdown scorer, as well, over 50.5 rushing yards for Washington. And for the Giants, I have Devontae Freeman over 19.5 receiving yards, Evan Ingram over 39.5 receiving yards, and Darius Slayton over 58.5 receiving yards.
Nice. All right, Packers -1 at Tampa, over under at 55.5. Packers 4-0. They're well rested. They're getting Devontae Adams back. Bucks, they've been kind of up and down. Tough loss last week to Chicago, but they're also getting Chris Godwin back. I think this is another game, high-scoring shootout. Packers, they've had at least 30 in every game this year, so definitely give me the over. I'm also still waiting for that first Gronk spike of the year, so plus 240 on him scoring a touchdown.
Yes.
I also like Evans -105, Adams -120, and Aaron Jones -220. You can get all 4 of those same-game parlay at 22-1 odds on FanDuel, so I kind of like that. Also, Adams may be scoring 2 touchdowns at plus 500.
Aaron Rodgers hasn't faced a defense like Tampa Bay yet. And as we mentioned earlier, that 4 thing that's been going around all week on Tom Brady, Brady's pissed. He's motivated. Give me the Bucks all the way on Sunday. All the way, Tampa Bay.
Trust the Todd Bowles defense?
I trust the Todd Bowles defense. against Aaron Rodgers this week. Hey, when we played Green Bay with Todd Bowles last time, he did have, Rodgers did have his way, but our defense is nothing like Tampa Bay's. Tampa Bay has some playmakers. They're physical. So I like Tampa Bay in the money line. I like Gronk plus 220 is what I got him to score a touchdown. I also like Chris Godwin plus 135.
All right, we go to Sunday night. Rams minus 2.5 at the Niners, over 52 in that game. Niners have looked terrible the last 2 weeks, blown out against Miami. Last week, Jimmy G was benched. He's still going to start this week. The Rams are just flat out the better team, but I also kind of trust Kyle Shanahan to get that offense right. So I'm a little bit torn on this game. Not a ton of props that I like, surprisingly, since I do think it's going to be somewhat of a high-scoring game. The one that I really love is Brandon Ayuk over 37.5 yards. That's going to be my go-to. I think Ramsey's probably going to lock down Samuel, so it's going to be a lot of targets for Kittle and Ayuk. So if you even want to go Kittle over 65.5 yards, I don't think that's a bad play either. You can combine both of those overs with Kittle and Ayuk both scoring a touchdown at 20-1 odds. If you even want to throw Cooper Kupp in there over 65.5 with a touchdown, you can get all 6 of those at 62-1 odds. So usually the Sunday night game is where I try to go a little crazy with some of the parlays. So I kind of like that.
Understandable. I love the Rams on this one. I don't think it's going to be close. The 49ers have looked terrible, and other than wins against the Jets and Giants, they haven't been able to get anything done, and they don't have a win at home. Really, they can only win in New Jersey. So give me the Rams all the way, -3. I love the Rams. I also love Cooper Kupp over 5.5 receptions for plus 115. He's going to destroy the San Francisco secondary.
All right, we go to Monday night. Chiefs -4.5 at Buffalo. Over-under, highest of the week at 57.5. You got 2 4-1 teams here, both coming off their first loss of the year. The Chiefs, I tend to trust a little bit more coming off the loss to kind of turn things around. The Bills have been tremendous this year, but losing to 26 against Tennessee, I think that's a lot to correct in a week with the Chiefs coming to town. You also the Chiefs against the Raiders. Prior to that, I think their defense looked a lot better this year, especially against the pass. So give me the Chiefs -4.5. Also, with Watkins out, I think McCole Hardman scores a touchdown. You got Tyreek Hill scoring a touchdown in every game this year. I don't think it's going to stop Monday night either. So I'm going to parlay Hardman, Tyreek Hill, and the Chiefs -4.5 for 7-1 odds on that.
I love the Chiefs in this game. I, too, took them at -4.5. I also took them on the money line. They were the only team that screwed me last week, but I know they won't do me wrong this week. Kansas City all the way. Buffalo's a good team, and I'm sure they're going to kick the crap out of the Jets next week, but they're not as good as Kansas City. And frankly, they're not as good as Tennessee either. Those are the 2 best teams in the AFC. And I also like a parlay on DraftKings, Tyreek Hill to score anytime touchdown, Devin Singletary over 51.5 rushing yards due to the Chiefs' rushing defense, Tyreek Hill over 69.5 receiving yards, Chiefs -4.5, plus 1,200 odds.
Not bad. All right, and the last game, and this is another one, tough game to call because there's a lot of things changing here. You got the Cardinals -1 at Dallas. Over-under set at 55. Cowboys dealing with the emotional loss of Dak last week. Andy Dalton stepping in. Cardinals, again, they had a big week 1, beat the Niners. Since they beat 2 bad teams in the Jets and Washington. They lost to the Lions and Panthers, so they've been tough to figure out. The Cowboys' defense has been awful, but they're getting Van Der Esch back, which should help a little bit. I think I still have to lean with the Cardinals here, -1. I like DeAndre Hopkins also scoring a touchdown at -115. That connection's been money all year. You even want to boost it. Hopkins 2 touchdowns at +500, but I do think the Cardinals probably win.
Oh, we disagree on this one. I have Dallas all the way. I don't like the Cardinals defense. I mean, they got lucky playing the Jets last week. Before that, they've really been struggling. Their offense has been struggling to find its true identity this year. And yes, Dallas's defense is a shit show. But like I said, so is Arizona's. Yeah. So I like Dallas all the way on this one at home on Monday night. Andy Dalton, first start. He's got the
trusting
weapons.
The Red Rocket.
I'm trusting the Red Rocket. Hey, us Red Beards got to stay together, man. So I'm going with the Cowboys all the way. And I also love the over. I got the over at 54.5. And I did a 5-player parlay on FanDuel for plus 1,200. Ezekiel Elliott to score at any time, as well as over 89.5 rushing yards. Cowboys money line. Amari Cooper over 67.5 receiving yards. I think that's Dalton's go-to guy this week. And I'll give a little love to the Cardinals because I love DeAndre Hopkins, over 85.5 receiving yards. The Cowboys secondary is terrible, and the Cardinals are going to score points. It's going to be a close game, and I love this over. I think this is all the makings of a 31-28 shootout. But, yeah, DeAndre Hopkins, great bet for over 85.5 receiving yards. But other than that, give me Dallas all the way.
Yeah, I was tempted to go with the over, but I just don't have enough faith in Andy Dalton.
Come on, man. Red Rocket's back, baby, and he's got one of the best receiving cores in the league.
So him and Fitz, they take it this week.
That's right. That's right. Cowboys, Dolphins, Super Bowl.
Any other picks that you got? Any props, parlays, or anything else? Best bets you want to get on the record?
My best bets would probably be just a 5-team money line parlay that I did. I know, I also use the spread a lot, but money line is almost more of a sure thing, as we all know. Colts, Steelers, Ravens, Titans, Patriots money line. I like that a lot. Also on the spread bet this week. This is my big bet of the week. I have the Rams -3, Ravens -9.5, Dolphins -9.5, over 54 in the Atlanta Minnesota game, and over 54.5 in the Dallas Cardinals game. $25 pays $761.
Not bad at all. Yeah, if I had to go best bets, I'm sticking with the Lions -3 over the Jaguars. Like I said, I think they're just a much better one-win team. I trust Stafford in that offense a lot more, especially with their playmakers. Pittsburgh, I think, is going to roll Cleveland. That was one that we agreed on, so I feel a little bit better about that one now too. And then, like I said, Brandon Ayuk over 37.5 yards. If Ramsey's locking down Samuel, I think he's going to see plenty of targets his way. And then, probably have to roll with Miami. Like I said, I'm a little scared off about the 9.5 spread. But whether I buy it down to 6.5 or just take, Gesicki or Parker scoring a touchdown, I think something like that's going to happen with the Miami game. So
one more best bet on the Miami game. I forgot to mention it before.
What do you got?
LaMichael Perine under 6.5 rushes -124, because Frank Gore's getting 40 freaking carries and Perine ain't going to get anything because he probably looked at Gase the wrong way. So LaMichael Perine under 6.5 rushing attempts.
I was going to say,
if you like the over, it's +100. So hey.
That's not bad, but even the books know that Gore's getting all the carries this week. They have him listed on the rushing yards at like 48.5 yards, and PRN's not even listed. So
they'll probably get Ty
know
Johnson
the carries
first. Yeah,
makes me sick.
No, me too.
All right, well, that's gonna do it.
Mims.
Oh God, see when we see him here. Jesus Christ.
Probably maybe in 2 weeks.
The amount of pressure that kid's going to be facing once he get out there, man, with the number of draft picks that have already seen the field right now that are shining, and
everybody else has produced.
Everybody,
even the mid-round picks like Claypool, Hamler, I should say, they're all producing. So if he goes out there and he's only catching 2 passes for 14 yards, it's not going to be pretty.
In Joe Douglas, we trust.
Yeah.
Talk to you next week, man.
Be good.
Later.